Hello my dear students, I am Praveen Bansal, teaching class 11th Business Studies, chapter number 5, Emerging Modes of Business. This is our second session for the same chapter. In the previous session, we discussed what is e-business, what is e-commerce and what are its directions. Today, we would be starting with traditional business and we will compare it with the e-business. Let's understand e-business and traditional business by studying their benefits and limitations. The first benefit of e-business is ease of formation and lower investment requirement. Traditional business. Traditional businesses are like local shopkeeper. He has to get a store purchased, fill it with the inventory, etc., etc., and get the registration done as well. So, that is what traditional business was. There was a very huge investment required. He had to get the business registered. And then, on the other hand, we have e-business, which require very less investment. Only a website is required and business can be started. Second point is convenience. When it comes to e-business, internet offers the convenience of 24 hours into 7 days and 365 days. But traditional business doesn't have such convenience. Third point is speed. As already noted, much of the buying or selling involves exchange of information that internet allows at a click. When it comes to traditional business, limited speed is there. In fact, reach is also limited. Now, the next point is global reach or access. Websites starts from the name www, World Wide Web. That means if a product is registered on a website, it can be bought or sold across the globe. But when it comes to a traditional business, he has his own vicinity. Consumer of a society more or less prefer 1, 2 or 3 shopkeepers. That is it. Next point, that is fifth, movement towards a paperless society. When it comes to e-business, all the documents are transferred to the buyer electronically. But when it comes to a traditional business, you remember well, you are getting a bill on a paper, and paperless society is need of the day. So, we discussed how e-business is beneficial over traditional business, but there are few limitations as well. Like, the first limitation is low personal touch. E-business, however, lacks warmth of interpersonal interaction. To this extent, it is relatively less suitable mode of business in respect of product categories requiring high personal touch such as garments, toiletries, etc. Second limitation is incongruence between order taking giving and order fulfillment speed. Information can flow at the click of a mouse, but the physical delivery of the product takes time. This incongruence may play on the patience of the customer. At times, due to technical reasons, websites take unusually long time to open. This may further frustrate the user. The third limitation of e-business is need for technology capability and competence of parties to do e-business. Apart from the traditional 3 R's, reading, writing and remembering, e-business requires a fairly high degree of familiarity of the parties with the world of computers, and this requirement is responsible for what is known as digital divide. E-commerce has divided the population into 2 parts, digital and physical. The next limitation is increased risk due to anonymity and non-traceability of parties. When we do e-business, my dear students, we don't know who is our seller, and the seller doesn't know who is his buyer. So, it has increased the risk as well. Fifth limitation is people resistance. The process of adjustment to new technology and new way of doing things cause stress and a sense of insecurity. As a result, people may resist an organization's plan of entry into e-business. Next limitation is ethical fallout. Students, nowadays, companies use an electronic eye to keep track of the computer files you use, your email account, the websites you visit, etc. Is it ethical? The answer is no. So that is what the limitation of e-business are. Let's start our new topic of the chapter, online transactions. Operationally, one may visualize three stages involved in online transaction. Firstly, the pre-purchase sale stage including advertisement and information seeking. Secondly, purchase or sale stage comprised of steps such as price negotiation, closing of purchase or sale deal, and payment. And thirdly, the delivery stage. Whenever we go to buy something online, the very first step we perform is signing up. You put all the information required, that is known as registration. So, this is the first step for doing any kind of trade online. Now, the second step is placing an order. After doing all the window shopping, you do place an order. Then, at last, you get a new link on your screen, that is payment. It is clear from our above discussion that when you have already placed your order, you have to make a payment, and it can be done in many ways: cash on delivery, checks, net banking, credit or debit cards, or digital cash. So, these are the steps involved in online transactions. But my dear students, all these transactions are to be done in a very safe way. So, we have a new topic in this chapter, that is security and safety of e-transactions, because there are many business risks, e-business risks, and such risks are transaction risk. Online transactions are vulnerable to the following types of transaction risk. Seller may deny that the customer has ever placed the order. The intent delivery doesn't take place. Goods are delivered at the wrong address, or goods other than ordered may be delivered. Or say default on delivery. Or seller doesn't get the payment for the goods supplied, whereas the customer claims that the payment was made. So these could be the transactional risks. Second type of risk is data storage and transmission risk. You know, students, information is power indeed. But think for a moment, if the power goes beyond the control, or say in the wrong hands, it can be misused. Whenever we feed our details on any application or website, it can be stored by that website. It can be stored by some other person. So that data can be misused or leaked. The third kind of risk is risk of threat to intellectual property and privacy. As we all know, internet is an open space. Once the information is available over the internet, it moves out of the private domain. It then becomes difficult to protect it from being copied. Data furnished in the course of online transactions may be supplied to others who may start dumping a host of advertising and promotional literature into your email box. So, these were the risks attached to the e-business. Now, we will be studying resources required for successful e-business implementation. If you wish to set up your own e-commerce or any kind of e-business, following things would be required: money, men, machines. When I talk about machine, I mean hardware. For e-business, you require additional resources for developing, operating, maintaining and enhancing a website, where site means location and web means World Wide Web. Simply speaking, a website is a firm's location on the World Wide Web. Obviously, website is not a physical location. Rather, it is an online embodiment of all the content that a firm may like to provide to others. Now, we will be studying outsourcing. As we have already discussed in the first session, what is outsourcing? Outsourcing means handing over our non-core activities and sometimes core activities as well to some other captive units, so that the business can be done with the full focus when it comes to non-core activities. But when a business gets more of their core activity which is going beyond its control, in that case also, a company or any form of business can hand over its core activity to some other agencies, and that is known as outsourcing. Let's learn about few features of outsourcing. And the first feature is outsourcing involves contracting out. As the definition has already taught us, we hand over our work to some other agencies who can do it in a better way. For an example, if a hospital hands over the task of security to a security agency, that security agency can perform that task much more better. So that is what contracting out means. Second feature is, generally non-core business activities are outsourced. This feature was also discussed in the definition. Sanitation, housekeeping functions are non-core for most organizations. For multinational companies, this is a very common scenario to hand over all these activities to some other agencies. And the third feature is, processes may be outsourced to a captive unit or a third party. Think of a large multinational corporation that deals in diverse products and markets, and in the large number of countries. The number of processes such as recruitment, selection, training, record and payroll, all these things are handed over to some other agencies so that they can focus on their core activity, and they outsource, they contract out all these activities to some other excellent units. By doing so, these MNCs become quest, become ace in all kind of work, and that is what the beauty of outsourcing is. So this is how outsourcing also comes to an end, and this chapter also. All you students are advised to practice the questions from your textbook. Thank you.